Let me talk to you.
The biggest icon in wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me talk to you. Yeah.
Welcome. We are live for another episode of Let Me Talk to You. My name is Frankie Fresco, and of course, I got my brother next to me, DiTrapio. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, Frankie Fresco. Hello, family and friends out there. Another day, another blessing, man. Everything's all good, brother. Just a lot of rain, a little bit too much rain, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, it's been raining, and we apologize that we're starting the stream a little bit late. There was a couple things. Obviously, rain has been affecting us. I had the internet knock my power out here, so it was a little bit off. And then, of course, we're also me and my brother are watching that United States Brazil game, so we kind of were like, okay, let's watch it till they go into halftime, and then we'll start the podcast, and then we'll just keep an eye on it while we're doing the show. So. Good showing for the United States the first half, tied 1-1 against Brazil. We'll get into it. What we're gonna do is we'll talk a little bit into the USA game right after the NXT portion of it because it is going on right now. So I want to get your take about it, and then we'll go from NXT to soccer. Then we'll talk about the Dolphins. Then we'll talk about the Panthers, and then anything else I have listed on here. We have some NBA notes we could go ahead and talk, and then we'll come back to some soccer at the end of the show. And thank you guys as you walk on in. There it is. Josh saying, "What up, Frankie DiTrapio? Let's go Brazil. Are you guys going to see Hulk Hogan tomorrow?" I mean, I don't know, sir. I don't know about all that, but very, very excited for Brazil and the United States playing right now. They both are doing a really good job. It's an entertaining game. I mean, if you're watching the game, you're entertained. And what up, Memo, also for coming in. So let's talk. Let's start with, bro. What happened this past weekend? Battleground, some NXT. So let me run this down, sir. So here were the 6 fights, and out of the 6 fights, our predictions kind of wiggled here and there. I went 3 for 3. I had 3 of them correct, and I had 3 of them incorrect. I believe you had 4 correct, so you did better than I did. You had Obafemi, you had Roxanne Perez. You didn't have Kaylee Jordan. You had Lash Legend winning that one. You had Ethan Frazier and Axiom winning. You had Lola Vice, and you had Trick Williams. Damn, you went 5. You went 5 for 6. Jesus, never mind. You killed it, bro. I had Wesley, he lost. I had Jordan Grace, she lost. I did get Jordan correct from the women's international one. Or North American belt, and then I had the Good Brothers. I knew the Axiom was gonna win, but I still was going for the Good Brothers because I wanted them to win. And then I had Lola Vice and Trick Williams, so it wasn't bad. So I mean, it's okay, win or lose, we're there, right? Win or lose, we're there. But very good show. Nick, talk to me, man. What you think about Battleground? Did you enjoy it? Did you get to watch it? Did you?
I was able to watch the highlights between Lola and Shayna. I also had it. I was able to see the Trick Williams and Ethan Page fight. And those were the only 2 I kind of were looking into. But I did hear that Battlegrounds got really good viewership. So
Yeah, man, it was Kalani Jordan. And that ladder match was the first match, and I spoke about it with with Sean at the Squared Circle last night. I thought that was the best fight, and a very good way to start. I think they hit it at all cylinders when it came to like who they picked, who was gonna win and who's gonna lose. I think they did a really, really good job at the end of the day. Hopefully, at the end of the day, they have additional plans, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But before we talk about that, let's talk about, obviously, we got the recap of Battleground. Great show. Hopefully they go back to the Apex one of these days. Some people were criticizing it. It was too small. I know Booker T and the desk where they commentator shit was a little bit close to the ring, so people were criticizing that as well. But overall, man, I thought it was a great show. I thought that it delivered. I thought it was fun. I like I like who won as well. I thought they made the right decision on that. But now let's talk about what happened last night, because that was something that caught us off guard. First and foremost, let's go and show the fans. Let me see if I can pull this up right here. Yep, we'll show this first. So the first thing I wanted to show is, of course, who was out there last night, and that was our good old friend Cody Rhodes. He made
Who would
his
have
way.
thought, right? Who would have
Cody making his way over to the NXT world, which was good, because the funny thing about this is that it's cool to see both champions, but it also was kind of really cool to see that Cody made his way to NXT, especially since yesterday was I believe it was 6 years since we lost Dusty Rhodes, so it was his anniversary as far as when he passed away. So I think it's been 6 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 6 years since he passed away. So it was very fitting for Cody to make his way over to the NXT. Obviously, Dusty Rhodes had a huge say in the NXT world. He was the one who kind of like brought it all together, and he was the one who made a lot of these wrestlers kind of develop and then
Huge
eventually
impact.
make it to the main
Huge
roster,
impact.
right? Huh? Yeah,
Huge
of
impact.
course, of course.
Huge impact.
I think so. That was cool. So Cody comes out. Obviously, we were all curious to see why Cody was out there. Like, what exactly was Cody going ahead and going to announce? And what Cody announced for all of us was, and let me share this with you guys as well. And it was that next week there will be a number one contender battle royale. Winner challenges Trick Williams at NXT. How do you call that stuff? He. What does it say there? Heat
Heat
charge?
wave. Heat wave.
Heat wave. There you go. It says heat wave. I don't know why I couldn't read that. All right. So yeah. So apparently the winner of this battle royale is gonna go and compete against Trick Williams at Heat Wave. Now here is where I am interested about Nick, and this is something I wanted to show. I gotta go on my well, first and foremost, let me get your take. What do you think about, obviously, NXT doing this move of going ahead and making it, hey, Heat Wave is going to be the winner of this battle royal? Do you like the fact that they're doing a battle royal for the next person to challenge Trick Williams for the belt?
I think, to be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not liking that. I don't really think they should just, because it feels like they're gonna randomly just select someone throughout a battle royale.
So do you think there was somebody already fitting to be the number one contender to challenge Trick Williams?
I just don't feel like there's enough development for anyone to have enough beef to contend the belt. You get me? It seems like there's no development, or I guess they're not hitting that direction. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I really don't like it, because it just seems like, okay, we're gonna throw in a good match and then we're just gonna slap that match in Heat Wave. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they would cook.
But you don't. So you don't feel right now there's any good challengers out there to compete against Trick Williams?
Oh, there's great challengers. I think they should continue the whole Ethan Page saga. I think they should, continue creating this, background story of, oh, who is Ethan Page? what's making Ethan Page, what is Ethan Page gonna do to get under Trick Williams' skin? You know, continue creating that development, or maybe who would Ethan Page tag along with in order to get into Trick Williams' skin? You know,
I mean,
but just to throw in a random battle royale and be like, all right, screw it, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know. It's just doesn't sit well with me.
well, okay, I get it. And for me, I like the idea of Ethan Page probably continue the storyline with Trick Williams. He is going to be one of the guys in the battle royale, but I actually like the battle royale, and I'm going to show you why. Right here, sir. Read it and wheat. It says Pro Wrestling Noah to make a major announcement with WWE. Now, who is Pro Wrestling Noah? That is the Asian wrestling company out there that AEW at one point in time wanted to do a collaboration. Now, you know, AEW does New Japan Wrestling. They at one point in time did TNA. They did all these. All of a sudden, the Noah company was one that did not get along with Tony Khan and said, "Nope, we're now doing business with you." And then Tony Khan kind of got a riff-raff, and he kind of got through a hissy fit and all that stuff. And what it was because the WWE was working with a guy, I forgot his name, but he was working with WWE. And what it looks like is that all of a sudden now we're gonna get on the WWE side what AEW usually does with Forbidden Door. And that's basically WWE is smart. And me and Sean were talking about this yesterday because Sean brought it up, and I said, "Holy crap, what is going on here?" And then they make this announcement. WWE, maybe not Raw, maybe not SmackDown, but it looks like they're testing the waters when it comes to NXT world. You saw Jordan Grace was actually there from TNA, the TNA champion. And one of the things that Cody Rhodes said at NXT last night was that the 25-man battle royale is going to include wrestlers from this locker room and outside the locker room. So he insinuated that there's a very, very good chance that there's going to be wrestlers outside of the WWE world. At least that's what I got. That could be competing in this. So not only are you going to get wrestlers from the Raw roster, probably maybe from the SmackDown roster, but I think you're going to get some guys from the TNA world, and you're going to get some of these guys from the Noah world who are going to be in this battle royale. Now, are they going to win? I have no idea. I don't know where they're going with this, but it intrigues me. It makes it more entertaining NXT, and it's gaining attention right now because of the simple fact that NXT is going to soon be moving over to the CW. I am intrigued to see how far WWE goes with this. And I did tell Sean this, and I said, look, this is scary for AEW because one of the things that AEW has always had over the edge of WWE, the WWE was a machine. The WWE has always been a machine, but it's always been a machine by itself. You've never seen WWE work with another company. The only time you could kind of say they worked with a company was when they bought out WCW. But you never seen that, hey, let me bring this person over here.
And ECW too.
Say that again?
And ECW too, no?
Yes, when they also obviously took over ECW. But they never had something like a collaboration. I mean, maybe they had a one-off here and there, but they never had something that is consistent every single year. And I think that's where they're going with this. And I think this is where NXT is going with this. Not only the main roster. I think they're going to push this even more into NXT world, where you're going to see now TNA wrestlers make their way over to TNA wrestlers make their way to AEW. I'm sorry. And TNA wrestlers making their way to WWE, NXT, and obviously this Asian wrestling company making some of their wrestlers go over to NXT as well. And keep in mind, Io Sky challenged one of the wrestlers on Monday, I believe it was, either on Monday or Sunday, saying that she was going to challenge the one of the champions over there. So this is entertaining, Nick, and this is scary moments right now for AEW, in my opinion, because WWE, although they're number one, WWE is cutthroat. They don't give a damn. They're like, yo, we're going to go after what we feel makes money. And this made money to AEW. So let's take that idea as well and let's do it even better. And you know how WWE works. Whatever they touch, maybe they could take it from take the idea from somebody, but they make it 20,000 times better. What do you think about this? What do you think about actually other wrestling organizations working with WWE and bringing some of their wrestlers, some of their talented wrestlers over to the NXT world, and now combining these different wrestling organizations to the point where you could create kind of like a forbidden door, but on the WWE side?
I think it's a great idea, and I think the vision is there. It just depends on how the Noah wrestlers perform. It really just all depends on the other side of the spectrum. You know, WWE is going to bring their A game, but will Pro Wrestling Noah bring their A game? Will they bring an audience, show that bring that spectacular entertainment? We know new wrestling Japan is very good, and they have really good wrestlers. They have a huge audience, and AEW went ahead and took that advantage. So to me, great idea, great vision. It's there. It just really all depends on Pro Wrestling Noah, to be honest with
Yeah, man. I mean, again, one thing that WWE figured out a way to kind of like showcase is other wrestlers, and they have
you. And
the
sorry to interrupt, and will WWE give Pro Wrestling Noah, will Pro Wrestling Noah win any matches towards big WWE superstars? Would it show the soft side of how those things can happen? And I don't know if WWE is willing to show, hey, we're gonna lose like a big superstar towards a big superstar from Pro Wrestling Noah.
well, I
It's
think
kind of
I think that's where it becomes intriguing because, and as Sean said it, when we saw NXT Battleground, we had Jordan Grace versus Roxanne Perez. You had Roxanne winning, but I technically picked Jordan Grace. And if I'm pretty sure a lot of us were saying there's no way Roxanne's going to lose. But there was a couple of us, in my opinion, who probably went inside there and said, wait, there is a possibility that this girl could beat Roxanne Perez. Why? Because she's a champion TNA. See, here's the thing. I agree with you if they did that in Raw and SmackDown. I don't see, let's say, for example, a Jade Cargill or a Bianca Belair, or we can even say a Becky Lynch if once she comes back, lose to some of these other wrestlers because obviously they're too big. AEW does the same thing. AEW never had any other big guys lose against the New Japan guys, right? But in the NXT world, is it really hurting an NXT wrestler for them to lose against one of those guys from any of those other wrestling organizations? As a matter of fact, I think it helps them because the simple fact is now you could go ahead and say, hey, I've wrestled wrestlers, bigger than the NXT, and you could create feuds with these people. And not only that, but now you could start moving some of these NXT wrestlers to make their way over to their organization. I would love to see uh, I don't think Trick Williams would be a good example, but let's say, for example, Alexis King make his make a guest appearance in the TNA world. And again, you're gonna be like, holy crap, it's Alexis King in TNA. And it's only gonna expand his brand even more outside of the NXT world. So I think that could happen. Only because of the simple fact is that NXT is a developmental type of wrestling, right? It's developmental. So it doesn't hurt them if they win or they lose. It's just the fact that you want them to grow their persona, their character, their how do you say their brand. That way, when they make it over to the WWE Raw or SmackDown, everybody knows who they are, and then it just they skyrocket. And I think that's one of the cool things I like about this. We got to see where they go with this. Now, the other thing that they mentioned before they ended NXT was the fact that the newest North American Women's Champion was gonna go ahead, which is of course Kylie Jordan. She was gonna go ahead, Kalani Jordan. I keep saying Kylie. Kalani Jordan is gonna go ahead and defend her belt against Meeching next week. Now, Meeching was part of the 6-woman ladder match, so it's good to see it. And we talked about this that Kalani Jordan. I think they made the right decision. She's a young girl. I think she's like 21 or 22 years old. So I was happy that she won. And then Meechin is just a badass, man. It just sucks that Meechin it doesn't get over the hump. She's kind of like and I think Sean nailed it on the nail yesterday when he mentioned that she's similar to this girl, the the one who was feuding with Lola Vice, not Shayna Baszler, but the one before. Damn, remind me, guys. I forgot her name. Uh,
Um,
Let me see. Heart Foundation chick, WWE. Forgot her name, man. I don't know. I can't believe I forgot her name. Female.
yeah, I forgot her name right now. I'm not really,
I'm getting a blank here. Was it?
but she's a character that just seems like maybe it's a developmental. Maybe it's giving out these vibes like, hey, when is she ever gonna finally get that chance? And then
Yeah, Natalia. That's who it is. Natalia. So
Natalia.
so Natalia is the one that, like, she doesn't go ahead and make that jump to becoming a champion, but she's a developer. She does enough to make her competition or her opponent be better. And all of a sudden, you start seeing them move forward. I think she did that with Lola Vice, and now you could tell that Meeching is kind of doing the same thing with Kalani Jordan. And I think this is going to be an exciting match. I don't see Meeching winning, obviously, but it's going to elevate Kalani Jordan. I think it's the right fight for Kalani Jordan to start off, because you know that when you see Meeching fight, she's not going to go ahead and um, let down the fans. Even though she probably won't win, she's not going to let the fans down with her performance. The last thing I wanted to show you, Nick, is this right here. And it was last night, right before NXT ended. I don't know if you heard, it was trending in social media. And it was the fact that you got 3 ex-AEW wrestlers talking to Cody, who Cody was one of the founders of AEW. And again, a shot being made to the AEW world. Cody came, saw them. They were all competing there. All 3 of them, Ethan Page, Lexis King, and Sean Spears, are all competing on the Battle Royal. So they all have a shot out trying to get to challenge Trick Williams for the championship belt. But when they were all saying, hey, Sean Spears started saying, hey, you won the Royal Rumble with Cody Rhodes. We appreciate you did it. I could win this Battle Royale. Ethan Page says, hey, I could win it. Lexis King at the end comes in. And then all of a sudden, he took a shot. Now, I mean, Cody Rhodes takes this shot, but obviously it's all of them combined. He says, don't quote me exactly, but he says, it seems like you're in the right home now, or in the right place now. Something like that is what he basically said. Nick, let me ask you something. If you listen to Cody saying that, right? Does it give you an idea of does it bring like any eyebrow? Does it make you curious, or does it make you think, hey, hold on a second, why would he say that? Like, why would do you see that as him taking a shot to AEW, or do you just see him as just, he just said that just because that's a storyline, and I guess they could poke fun of it? What do you think?
I think this helps AEW. Um, if AEW wasn't a big company, they wouldn't even bring it up. But they keep bringing up AEW some way, somehow. So I really do think this helps not only WWE and AEW, because look at this guy, the AEW dude, the Australian guy. What's his name? Osprey. He keeps talking about the comment he made about WWE continuously. So it's like both companies are thinking about each other. They're like rent free in their minds. You feel me? Like they just keep bringing each other up. So maybe they have a secret alliance. Maybe Cody just wants to take one more cheap shot at AEW. But honestly, bro, this is helping both companies.
What I just pulled it up. His exact words was, "Seems like you guys are in a good place." So it was a sarcastic type of tone. I will say this. Does it help AEW? I really don't think it helps it. I really don't think it hurts them either. But I will say this. I am a little bit surprised that Cody said that. And when I look more further into it, it reminds me of, I think Cody Rhodes and AEW, particularly Tony Khan, had a really more big of a falling out than what we could assume. And the reason I say this is because if you leave a company, you don't take these little minor shots at your previous employer unless you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, or you have some type of, like, I don't like that company, like I think he ended this. This is telling me more, like making me look more into it and say, hey, I honestly feel that there's more to the story than what the eye sees, than what we see with our eye. Cody always said as a professional, hey, I left and I love those guys and all that stuff. But he always, in my opinion, he always left with a bad taste in his mouth. And I think him saying these type of comments, these slick remarks, is just justifying that. I think he's not, I think he knows that, I appreciate AEW, but there was more to it. Whether it was Tony Khan, whether it was the other wrestlers, I don't know. I know he said that he's had good relationship with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and all those guys. So probably I'm assuming it's Tony Khan, but I don't know, man. I honestly get the vibe that by him taking that cheap shot just pretty much defies and tells us that he really was. He's still upset. He's still pissed off at AEW, and he doesn't mind poking the bear and making fun of them, or at least taking a shot at them because he felt like he got burned once he left AEW. You understand me? That's just me, though. I might be wrong, but that's the vibe I get from him. I don't think you would say that to your ex-employee. That's just me. Especially
if you keep bringing up AEW, people are gonna now be like, "What does Cody Rhodes mean about that?" And when they find out that Cody Rhodes came from AEW, then people are gonna be like, "Oh, what's AEW about?" And then they'll tune in at least now all the shows, but they'll tune in a show here and.
They could. I mean, it could help AEW. Maybe he's doing it as well to help AEW. That's a good way of actually probably even looking at it. Maybe he is doing better. He's doing it to help AEW and give some exposure. I don't know. But for
I don't
me,
think it's help. I don't think it's help. I think it's just if the company if the company is that small as what fans of WWE is saying, like, oh, AEW is trash, then why bring it up? You feel me? Like, it is what it is.
well, the other thing, I mean, look, it's obvious that AEW is number 2. It's obvious. It's obvious too that NXT and AEW at one point in time were going at each other for the ratings, right? That was the whole thing. And then Tony Khan at one point in time was saying, "Hey, screw you guys, we beat you in the ratings and all that stuff," which was a good win for them. But again, you're going up against probably the third show of WWE. You're not going against their number 1 or number 2 shows, which is SmackDown and Raw. Plus, on top of that, some of the AEW wrestlers like to take shots at WWE. MJF just came back. I'm pretty sure they'll reference MJF, probably might reference WWE again or whatnot. And, if you're going to take a shot at WWE, I wouldn't be surprised that some of the WWE wrestlers are like, okay, we could take a shot at you guys. And it shouldn't matter. I just feel in the sense of Cody Rhodes, he shouldn't be saying that because of the way he is. He's always been, like a stand-up individual, professional and all that stuff. I wouldn't assume that he would say that on NXT unless he still has like some kind of beef with them. And again, I think all of this is tying, Nick. I don't know why, but for me, all of this is tying. Taking shots at AEW, now working with different wrestling organizations, mentioning TNA right around the corner. Remember, TNA had some type of relationship with AEW, and then they went their separate ways because TNA realized and said, "Hold on a second, what you were saying earlier, hey, none of our guys are getting over any of your guys. So what's the benefit of having our TNA wrestlers wrestle the AEW guys if we're not gonna win? We're building up your wrestlers. You're not building up mine. So all those little things. I mean, that I think it all ties up, and I think that's just why at the end of the day, NXT is becoming way, way more interesting. I mean, for people who don't tune in, I'm telling you right now, I would tune in because of the simple fact that it's actually being different. It looks like they're gonna go that route, and I have the feeling that they're gonna go using these other organizations with NXT because it doesn't hurt their wrestlers to win or lose against TNA wrestlers, against that Noah wrestling company. It doesn't hurt them. And watch out, WWE does things way, way more better than any other company. That's why they're always number 1.
Of course, 100%.
But now, let's we're gonna jump into the Miami Dolphins in just a minute. I just want to go ahead and talk quickly on the soccer portion here. We got the United States playing against Brazil. Nick, talk to me, man. I think it's still 1-1. Anything that stand out in this game that you can say?
I think when it comes to look, when United States were playing against Colombia, it was 2-1. What I'm intrigued now is when the subs come in, how is it going to change? How is the defense going to react? How's things are going to do? So that's where I'm intrigued. So the last 20 and 30 minutes of the game, this is where I want to see, do we have good depth? Does Berhalter make the necessary adjustments to make sure that they either win this game or finish it as a tie?
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I will say this, and I know that there's a lot of you guys are probably not soccer fans, but you gotta tune into soccer because right now you got Copa America right around the corner. And this is a good test for the United States because the United States is trying to do their best to show the world that they could compete with the best, right? And even though Brazil is a heavy hitter, personally, in my opinion, I feel like this is one of the weakest Brazilian teams. And it's not because of the talent. I think the talent is there. I just feel like the coaching is not there and it hurts them. I still don't think Brazil has a serious number 9. I think that's the issue that they also have. Like Neymar was always like their main guy. I don't think they've. I mean, Benitez comes close and probably Rodrigo, but I don't see them as like a Neymar. So to see the United States tied 1-1, and again, Brazil played against Mexico the other day, and Brazil barely beat them. They beat them 3-2, and they scored at the 96th minute. So if Colombia, if the United States is able to hold their stance against Brazil and be 1-1, for me, it's a disappointment because, guys, I've always said this. I want the damn coach to get fired. I think he sucks. Greg Berhalter is not a good coach. And, you know, maybe you're getting the most. Maybe he put his heavy hitters out there. He put this if you're not watching soccer and you just go and look at the lineup, this United States lineup is the lineup you're going to see at the Copa America. This is also the lineup you're going to see for Brazil because they brought in Rodrigo. They had Vinicius out there. They didn't have those guys against Mexico. They brought them in the second half. So either two things comes out of this. Either number one, Berhalter must have said something to them and made them go ahead and step their game up to the point where the United States is like, holy shit, we got to show face because if not, they're going to fire our coach. Even though I'm seeing right here and it looks like, ooh. And I'm not going to lie, watching the game right now, if you guys are like skimming through, they're showing it on Telemundo and they're also showing it on TNT. Matt Turner definitely has stepped it up because Matt Turner has been blocking the shit out of everything. So it's not like the United States is like basically like dominating either. Matt Turner is the reason why this game is still 1-1, in my opinion. And I wouldn't be surprised that they probably scored. No, they're not. Okay, so I'm trying to tune in, watching it here. Seeing you, Nick, I'm seeing you shaking your head, so I don't know if they scored or not. So, but it looks like either two things. Either United States is possibly getting a little bit better, maybe, or number two, maybe we're underestimating Colombia. Maybe Colombia is a better team than what we thought because Colombia was not 1-1 against the United States. Colombia beat the United States 5-1. So
This is, like I said before, until we don't see the third fourth of the game, like the closing game. These last 20 minutes is crucial because, like I told you before, Colombia was up 2-1 in minute 70, and then they made their necessary adjustments, and then it just blew, and then it went to 5-1. So definitely, Matt Turner has stepped it up. It does look like the United States is very like tired. Like Christian Pulisic was a little bit tired even before halftime.
well, they just subbed everybody. They took out Tim Way. They just subbed out Musa.
They're tired. They're all tired.
But look who they brought in. They brought Aronson in, Christian Aronson, which is really good, or Brandon Aronson, I think is his name. Which he did not play in the first game. So I don't know. It's good to see what you're talking about because there is a possibility that the United States doesn't have any depth and that could hurt them in the long run. So it looks like they're taking
because
another.
what if they hustle hard 75 minutes, 80 minutes, and then they have a 1-0 lead or a 2-1 lead, then you need your depth players to come in and kind of just pretty much secure the win. You feel me? It's kind of like a closer. So do we have enough U.S. men players to close out games? And it seems like we don't. So right now it's
Yeah.
right now it's 76 minute. It seems like, oh my goodness, bro. Um, it seems like we look like we have control of the ball, but we shall see, bro. Like I said,
It just looks like sometimes they look so scared when they try to throw the ball in the middle. Like they make some dumb decisions. And if you look at Brazil, Brazil's doing the same thing. And I know we're gonna jump into the Dolphins talk in just a minute,
mhm.
but it just looks like they make clumsy mistakes more than once, and that's what scares me when it comes to United States. So we'll jump back into this topic. I know the game. It looks like Pulisic is getting subbed out as well. And there was a point in time where Pulisic got stepped on. Oh, and they put the 17-year-old kid. So Brazil has this 17-year-old kid who's supposed to be the next star. So he's playing now out there. I'm trying to like watch the game while we're doing the podcast. But we'll bring that topic up at the end. Let's jump now to the WWE world. Let's talk now to the Miami Dolphins world. And the Miami Dolphins, sir, there was a lot of stuff that happened, a lot of things we want to talk about. I first and foremost, let's talk about what happened maybe like 2 days ago. And that was that the Miami Dolphins signed Marcus May. Safety, solid addition to the Miami Dolphins safety. I know I spoke to you maybe a couple hours. No, yesterday. It was yesterday we spoke about. As you guys are, and I've already mentioned it, a lot of you guys all tune in, and a lot of us go ahead and follow a lot of, Miami Dolphin content creators, right? Dougie, TD Finns Talk, Big O is out there, Poopar with the All Dolphins podcast. Now you got everybody, you got everything. Omar Kelly over there in Miami Herald. So I spoke to you because I saw that in the All Dolphins podcast they had brought in Omar Kelly for like a one-off again, which was cool because I thought they did. I think Poopar and Omar Kelly do a phenomenal job working together. And Omar was the one that was mentioning about, hey man, and Jordan Poyer is not looking good. Like Poyer in the practices is looking like he's losing a step here or two. And I think they need some help on the safety. And they went and they picked this guy up. So talk to me, Nick. Do you feel confident now with the safety that we have in place for this secondary to be, successful and productive and, be able to hold off those tough teams that will probably be in the Super Bowl conversation, like the Cincinnati Bengals, Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, those guys?
I find it silly that Omar Kelly's saying that he's a little bit concerned about Jordan Poyer. We forget that Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill were probably the top 3 duo in the NFL. So this is just a test for Jordan Poyer, and he will get the rhythm of things and he will get better. Obviously, when he had, the offense of the Buffalo Bills to defend when he had practices, he just had Stephon Diggs, and that's kind of it, So having to add more talent to the wide receiving core and having that explosive offense that the Dolphins have, this is just something new for, Jordan Poyer to kind of like get in rhythm. I think this is just him getting in rhythm. Obviously, you're going to miss a step or two. And look what happened to Jalen Ramsey when he tried too hard to make sure that he shows people, hey, I can cover Tyreek Hill. He got injured. So why would you want to exert yourself completely to prove yourself in practice? We all make mistakes. This is the time of the year. This is the time of the year to make mistakes, And this is where Anthony Weaver is going to be like, okay, I see Jordan Poyer. He could do this, but he can't do that. So let me coach him. But at the same time, though, we also know that Jordan Poyer ain't young. So we never know. We might know that he might get, I don't want to say the word, but he might miss some time. Look at Javon Holland last year with the 2 MCL sprains. So having to add depth is never wrong, and it's never a bad thing to do, especially a veteran like Marcus May.
Well, I think you nailed it. I didn't look at it that way. I always am concerned, but again, a lot of these guys, negativity sells, right? If you're negative instead of positive, more people are going to tune in. That's unfortunate. And just to answer Chad's question, isn't Poop by himself now? He is. They just had a one-off where Omar Kelly came back. So it was, I think it was last week that he came back and they just did a one-off show. And in that particular show, that's when Omar Kelly was saying that Jordan Poyer didn't look good, that he looked kind of slow in practice, and that they needed help in the safety room. And then you see this, you see them sign a safety. I'll give you this. I agree with you. I think it's cool that they brought in another safety. They're making it a priority to go ahead and bring players that are gonna help this team. I've always said this. My biggest concern is the defense. The defense the defense lost a lot of pieces, man. And that's my concern. And you're bringing a new defensive coordinator, so you have to get used to his tactics, his style of coaching. You don't know what you're gonna get defensively. And we're gonna get tested very quickly at the beginning of the season because we got the Jacksonville Jaguars right off the back, and then we got Buffalo right afterwards. So it's like the defense is gonna get tested right off the bat. So that's my concern. We don't know if Jalen Phillips is going to be there. We don't know if Bradley Chubb is going to be there. We don't know these guys. How is the team going to now work without Christian Wilkins on the team? So Andrew Van Ginkel, who was a star for us, not there anymore. Jerome Baker, who was an up and down kind of guy, but you saw at Hard Knocks how he was a leader at the end of the day. And he gained points in my eyes because he was able to show us that he brings that type of, leadership, which I never thought he did, but he did. So we lost that. We need somebody else to go ahead and take that role. So there's a lot of things, a lot of questions. But at the end of the day, I don't think it was a bad decision. I think it was a good decision. And if they feel like they need to add more players on the defensive side, then do it. Because at the end of the day, that's, I think, where we lost most of our players defensively. In the offensive side, we have the regular guys. Nobody's changed that much. Maybe, obviously, Robert Hunt, but besides him, we've actually, and Connor Williams too, but we've been able to do without Connor Williams. Liam Eichenberg replaced him a couple of times in a couple of games and stuff like that. So it's like I'm not too concerned offensively. I feel like any little mistake that we do, oh, there it is. Oh, they almost scored. Any little mistake, I'm sorry, guys. I'm like watching the game. I have the game right here. Like I have let me show you guys. I have my phone, so I'm watching the game while we're talking as well. So it's like I know that there's like about 10 minutes left before the game is over. So, and as you can tell, guys, me and my brother are big soccer fans, so we watch, but we don't want to let you guys without the podcast. We gotta stay consistent and show you guys the love because this is what we do. So we sacrifice. Now I don't know about 2 weeks from now, we might not be able to do a show because we're going to be out of town. But at least for today, we could still watch the game and also at the same time. Damn, what a hell of a block.
And guys, don't forget, again, thank you so much for the support and commitment that you guys do. We do what we love, and we just want to show, our dedication to, our favorite teams in Florida. We like to talk sports, so do not forget to like this video and help us out with the algorithms. Click that subscribe, and share it with your friends and family. And click that subscribe. If you can click that subscribe right now, click it right now. If you got to click that like button, click that like button right now too.
Yeah, man, it takes 2 seconds, guys and gals. We really do appreciate your support and helping us grow this channel. Now, let's talk about what's the main topic of our podcast, the Madden cover, right? And the reason I'm talking about the Madden cover, it might be like you guys are probably telling me, Frankie, why the hell are you talking about the Madden cover? And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a Madden fan. I play Madden. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, back when I was in college, I actually won a Madden tournament. I was at UF at the University of Florida, and I played over 100 there was at least 100 participants in it, and I won. I actually won. I had an Xbox. I'm no longer an Xbox person. I'm more of a PlayStation person. But I was an Xbox person, and I won the tournament. God damn it! And I was so proud of myself. I was so happy. I won like $200. And then the cool thing about the tournament at UF is that they made the winner of the Xbox go against the winner of the PlayStation. And I actually played against him. We made a decision. We kind of like pick a heads or tails which system we were going to use, and he ended up winning. So we ended up playing in PlayStation, and I actually competed really well against him. I didn't get my ass kicked really bad, but I did lose. But I only lost by about a touchdown or a field goal or something like that. So back then when I didn't have a daytime job and I didn't have to work, like I didn't DJ and I didn't have responsibility and bills. All I had was school and video games. I would go ham on video games, but that's besides the point. So the reason I wanted to talk about the Madden is obviously because I'm pretty sure some of you guys are Madden fans and some of you guys still might play Madden or your kids play Madden. But the reason I say is because Christian McCaffrey was selected to be the cover of Madden. And I threw it out there saying, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Why is Christian McCaffrey getting all the love? I got two guys right here. Headline the Madden cover. That is our boy Tyreek Hill or Tua Tagovailoa. Sir, talk to me. Outside of this curse that everybody thinks if you're the front cover of Madden, you're cursed. But let's say the curse did not exist. Do you feel that Madden should bring Tua or Tyreek and be in the cover of one of their video games?
If we put our superstitions to the side, I would have to think about it. Just because there's been other players that have impacted the NFL and have had gotten a lot of publicity. So like what I will, as a huge Tua fan, sign Tua helmet actually. Would I love to see Tua on the Madden cover or Tyreek Hill? Definitely. But there are other superstars who could take the cover too. I mean, you have people like Joe Burrow. He could have been one guy. You could have added also someone like
Justin Herbert,
Aaron Rodgers, maybe. I know he didn't play, but he's still a type of football player that has made huge impact into the NFL. I just feel like those are players. There's other players in line that should have been on the cover. I know Christian McCaffrey has been an impact player for the NFL and for the San Francisco 49ers and has been in the NFC Championship and has been in the Super Bowl. Why not give it to Travis Kelce? I mean, Kelce has also been a big impact player. Why wouldn't you give it to back-to-back Kansas City Chiefs covers since they've been dominating the NFL for so long? But if you ask me, yeah, it would have been super badass if they would have put and on top of that, I wouldn't even have them wear those jerseys. I would have had put in the old style jerseys, the classic jerseys. That would have been a hell of a cover.
Well, I bring up Tyreek Hill and obviously Tua Tagovailoa is because if you're gonna give the cover of Madden to a player that deserves it, right? You would assume that they would give it to either the number one guy or number two guy, the top guys
or a quarterback, because it's usually a quarterback.
Well, yeah, but you're gonna also give it to a quarterback that's up there, right? That's one of the top quarterbacks. When you look at the wide receiver stats, Tyreek Hill had the most yards out of any wide receiver last year. He had 1799 yards. The second guy that came right behind him was CeeDee Lamb with 1749. So Tyreek Hill has enough of an argument to be ahead and to say, hey, look, I deserve to be in the cover of Madden because I have the most yards in the NFL. And he was also in the MVP talk for a minute there before obviously he got a little bit banged up and fell towards the end of the season. Now, when you look at Tua Tagovailoa, Tua, on the other hand, is the same thing. Tua Tagovailoa had the most passing yards in the NFL. He came ranked number 1 in the NFL. The second guy to come right behind him was actually Jared Goff. Tua had 4,624 yards and Jared Goff had 4,575. So you have two guys that literally have enough statistically to be on the front cover of Madden. They gave it to Christian McCaffrey. Fine and dandy. Christian McCaffrey also did deserve it, in my opinion. Rushing wise, he had the most rushing yards this season. He had 1,459. And I think the second guy to come after him, let me see here.
I mean, they did give it to they did give it to Odell back in 2016. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I saw some of the covers out there. The only one that was kind of weird was like I think some Cleveland Brown guy. He won
Peyton
it.
Hill,
Was that his name?
Peyton Hills, yeah.
Yeah, that was that random ass year where they brought that guy, and I think the reason that he got the nod was because they asked the fans if you wanted to vote for who wanted to be in the cover of Madden, and the fans picked him, and I think that's why he won. But after that, it's kind of been like the heavy hitters. It's been there was one cover where it was obviously Lamar Jackson. There was another one, I think it was Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, yeah.
Then we had that one. Obviously, my favorite Madden cover, in my opinion, was the Derrick Henry one, which I think that was back in 2002, 2003, somewhere around that time frame. I thought that for me was my favorite Madden cover. Um, but you've had a couple, quite a few. So statistically, outside of the superstition, I think both of these guys deserve it. Now, if the Miami Dolphins make it to the AFC Championship or make it to the Super Bowl, do you feel that Tua would be in the cover of Madden next year?
Um, I don't think so because Joe
You
Burrow
don't?
had Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl and he didn't show up in the Madden cover.
That's a good point. I don't know, man. I think he will. I think he would. In my opinion, I think Tua would have enough because Joe Burrow made it to a Super Bowl when his second year in the NFL, right?
He went to the AFC Championship game the second year, and
Then
then
what?
he lost, and then his third year he lost in the A. He went to the Super Bowl his second year, and then the third year when he lost in the AFC Championship game against Kansas City. And then his fourth year, which was this year, he got injured and had that weird freak accident with his whole like nerve problem or whatever.
So that's what I'm saying. I think personally, I don't think they gave it to Joe Burrow was because it was only his second year. If it was his third or fourth or fifth year, I could understand why they would go ahead and put him
But
in the
he went
cover.
to the Super Bowl and then he went back to the AFC Championship game to lose against the Super Bowl winner.
Yes, but okay. Who was the in the cover of Madden the year that he went to the Super Bowl? Oh well, the year after. I guess you would say 'cause he went to Super Bowl his second year, and so it would be the third year, his third year.
Yeah, his third year. So in 2021, which was 2020 was the year that Kansas City won and Patrick Mahomes was in the cover. 2021 was the year that Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl, but Lamar Jackson won the MVP that year, so they gave it to Lamar Jackson.
Mm.
Then the 2022 year, it was the year between Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and how they went to the Super Bowl and Tom Brady beat Patrick and all that stuff. So they gave it to those two guys. And that year, Joe Burrow went to the AFC Championship game and lost against Patrick Mahomes. And then last year, it was John Madden.
Oh yes, because John Madden unfortunately had passed away. I think that's the reason why they went ahead and they did John Madden. Because here I'm pulling it up, that way you guys can see it. So 2023 was John Madden, right? The All Madden Edition one, and then 2022 was Brady and Patrick Mahomes, and then 2021 was Lamar Jackson. So this is the year after Joe Burrow had gone to the Super Bowl. Am I correct? 2021.
Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl in 2021. Yeah, because it was his second year. Because his first year he tore his ACL, and his second year he blew up, and everyone was like, "Oh, what happened? Why didn't everyone else go to like?" That was the year that he went 10-7, and then he got caught fire, and then they all went to the Super Bowl.
Makes sense. So that obviously means in this particular case that he was
What a
actually.
save by Matt Turner! Holy shit!
So they went with they went with Lamar Jackson instead of Joe Burrow because of the MVP race. So I think it makes sense that they had Lamar Jackson win it. I mean, I honestly feel
Christian McCaffrey won Offensive Player of the Year last year. So If Tyreek Hill would have won Offensive Player of the Year, I wouldn't be surprised if he would have been the cover this year.
Gotcha. So we probably would have to say that the only way you're gonna make it to the front cover of the Madden is if either you win a Super Bowl, you're the MVP, or you win Offensive Player of the Year. Because I don't think there's been any defensive players in the cover of Madden. So let me see. So
Yeah,
we got,
you had a Richard Sherman. You had this guy, the guy from the Baltimore Ravens. What's his name? The linebacker.
okay, so you have Richard Sherman in 2015. I'm showing you all Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson.
Who was the guy?
Peyton Hillis is that random
Ray
ass guy I
Lewis.
told you?
Ray Lewis. Oh, and look at Palomalo right there with Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, but that one you could give it. Also, just FYI, the game ended 1-1.
But
You
that
know,
was the year. That was the year that Pittsburgh and Arizona went to the Super Bowl.
there you go. So they gave Larry Fitzgerald and Palomalo the front cover. This one's Brett Favre. You had Vince Young. This one is Sean Alexander. Wow, Sean Alexander back in 07. Look at that. Donovan McNabb in 06. You had Ray Lewis. There it is. You called it 2005. Michael Vick, 2004. Marshall Faulk, 2003. Who our boy Dante Culpepper when he was legit back in 2002. And there it is, my favorite one of all time, the 2001 Eddie George, because that was the first time that they started bringing football players in the front cover. Because if you see, you see 2000 was Madden, 99 was Madden, 98 was Madden, 97. So it was just Madden all on the front cover. That was the first year that they actually brought
Players.
a player to be in the front cover of Madden. So that's one of the reasons why I really liked it. But very cool, very cool. My second question to you is, sir, now that we've gotten the Madden question out of the way, there has been some discussion here. Hold on, let me see. The Phantom Coach says the Madden cover should have Chris Forster, the All-Star, in the Dolphins organization.
Chris Forster.
I don't know. I don't know what the Phantom Coach is saying out here. I guess he's making it freaking like
Chris Forster is the guy, if I'm not mistaken, is the tight end wide receiver hybrid guy that we got from Kansas City.
Oh Lord, that's a great trivia question. The first play on the cover of Madden. Now I know. Yeah, I know. That's pretty cool. All right. So this is the other thing I wanted to ask you, sir. I wanted to ask you this. Word on the street is obviously that Tyreek Hill is gonna be let go after this season, right? Dolphins are not gonna resign him. When the Dolphins were trying to get Tyreek Hill, who was the other team trying to go after him? Do you recall, sir?
The New York Jets.
Very good. So my question to you is, sir, even though Aaron Rodgers is being a slacker right now, not going to mandatory OTAs and stuff, and mandatory camp, if the Dolphins let go of Tyreek Hill, and if you look at usually history, a lot of these Dolphin guys, when they're let go, they usually end up going to our division. Do you see Tyreek Hill leaving the Miami Dolphins once the Dolphins let go of him? Do you see him joining forces over there with Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets?
It all depends on how he sees himself next year. It could be a good what if question, but we also got to realize that Tyreek Hill, he did say he wants to retire soon. So is he willing to do the Le'Veon Bell move, which is get paid and go to a team that may possibly use him every snap and, pretty much drain him to the point where he might get injured? And
isn't that what we're doing with him right now?
We're using his prime years. And
so you're telling me his prime year is going to be away next year? Still going to be in prime.
He's still going to be in his prime, but I just feel like he won't. Will the offense work for him? Even though I know Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, will Aaron Rodgers even be the quarterback next year?
That so I could understand.
It's a huge what if question. But can it happen? Yeah, for sure. It can happen. Would I feel some sort of threat? Not really, no.
Would you
Well,
feel a little?
I would only feel threat if it was like Buffalo or something. But Buffalo's so on the ground right now with money with their players that I don't really care.
So for me, I'll say this: if Tyreek Hill is let go, I think Tyreek Hill doesn't care joining a team in the division. I don't think he's gonna go ahead and be like, look, just to be in the Dolphins' good side, I'm not gonna join a team in the division. I think he would jump ship to whoever pays him the most money because I think at the end of the day, that's what Tyreek Hill wants. He wants to be the best paid wide receiver in the game. That's his goal, and that's always been his goal. If he joins forces, I think would the Jets go after him? Absolutely. They tried to go after him the first time and they failed. I don't see why they wouldn't go after him the second time. The only thing I agree with you is obviously we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is still going to be the quarterback, especially with his drama and his craziness, that way he usually is. But what I will say is this: if Tyreek Hill goes to the Jets, and remember this year the Jets are supposed to be competitive. We didn't know how they did against how we don't know how they would have done last year because of the injury to Aaron Rodgers. But if you bring Tyreek Hill and you put him in the New York Jets next year, and the New York Jets make it all the way to the Super Bowl, I'm gonna be pissed as hell. Because first and foremost, that would solidify the case that it wasn't Tyreek Hill's fault that we didn't make it to the Super Bowl. It's more
Again,
factors.
you're doing speculations. We can say we're gonna win the Super Bowl this year. It just depends what happens. If you want to go and put the what if, sure. I would be upset too. I mean, it's happened before in the past. But in the meantime,
I'm gonna be upset whether he goes to a team in our division. I don't care if it's Buffalo, New England, or the Bills. Either or, I'm still upset. I wasn't happy when Gasecki went to New England Patriots. Even though I knew New England sucked balls, but I still wasn't happy that he went there. I wish he would have gone somewhere else. Um,
look
I'm
at
glad.
Jason Taylor. Look at Jason Taylor when he went to the Jets.
I know if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, you have to have been furious when he went to the Jets. I was upset when he went to the Jets.
What did he do?
He wasn't the same for the Jets as he was for the Dolphins.
So
But
we can also apply that same theory with Tyreek Hill.
but we could. There's also cases where players have left the Miami Dolphins and have been more successful outside of the Dolphins. That's more common.
Within the division, the only player I can remember was Wes Welker because we gave breadcrumbs to that guy with the Patriots. It's been the only guy that has been successful within our division that has been able to create that success. Aside from that, no one else has done anything within the division. Obviously, if you want
Trying
to
to think.
if you want to say sure, yeah, like outside of our division, for sure, AFC, NFC. Look, Jay Ajayi won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. But when was the last time we had a Dolphin within the division win a Super Bowl?
I'm trying to think, man. And remember, guys, I'm not. A lot of the guys back in the '90s, I don't remember as much. So I'm trying to think more or less the 2000s type of players that left and what they were able to do outside of the Dolphins and within our division. But you're right. I can't recall somebody leaving. I'm thinking wide receivers. Devontae Parker left and he went to the Patriots, but he sucked at the Patriots. I'm trying
In
to look.
my era, that's the only person I remember recalling. Hey, Wes Welker got breadcrumbs from the Patriots gave breadcrumbs to the Dolphins, and Wes Welker was a huge impact. But aside from that, I mean, if you want to go based off on the 90s and 80s, sure, maybe there's someone. But I mean, did Buffalo ever win a Super Bowl? They haven't won a Super Bowl. When was the last time Jets won a Super Bowl? A long time ago. When did the Patriots start winning Super Bowls? During Tom Brady era. Name me one player aside from Wes Welker that has won a Super Bowl within the division after a trade like that. Nobody.
Well, the Jets and the Buffalo, nobody. But in New England, it would obviously be Wes Welker. I think, man, I'm trying to think. I thought there was a linebacker that went from from the Dolphins over to
The only linebacker I remember that went from the Patriots to the Dolphins was Junior Seau, I think. Junior Seau, or whatever his name was. RIP. But that's about it.
you know who I think went, and this is outside of your realm. Let me try to Google it and see if I'm right about this. No, I mean he did play. So Brian Cox, and this is outside of your realm. I remember Brian Cox, and he was with the Dolphins back in '91 all the way to '95. He went to the Bears for a year, and then he went to the Jets from '98 to 2000, and then he was at the Patriots in 2001. And I think he had a successful run with the Jets and with the Patriots those 3 years. But I might be wrong. I don't remember, but that name does stand out. I think Brian Cox is the only guy I remember because Brian Cox was a badass when he was with the Dolphins. The Phantom coach says Wes Welker does not have a Super Bowl championship.
He doesn't? I thought he won a Super Bowl with them. Maybe I'm wrong. So then it supports more my argument.
But he still was probably the most successful player outside that left the Dolphins and went to somebody in our division. Honestly, because I'm trying to think, and the Phantom
And he
coach, if you could remember somebody out there, or Cap for Life, or Chad, or Josh, or Memo, any of you guys, or
let me
anybody
see.
tuning in right now, can check to see if there was
thought he
one
was
particular
Super
if there's one particular player that left the Miami Dolphins to either join.
Oh no, he went to the Super Bowl, but he lost against the Giants. Okay,
Okay.
good call, Phantom Coach. I like you, bro. Good call.
So you have but if you guys can at least, if there's any players, and if you know any names of them, and drop them in the chat if that's possible, of any player that left the Dolphins to either go to New England, the Jets, or Buffalo, and had a successful run with them instead of with the Dolphins, even though they didn't win a Super Bowl, because obviously we already established that, but at least had a solid run. And I mean, even though Wes Walker did not win a Super Bowl, but he had a solid run, a solid career, and we always regret letting him walk and go to the Patriots because you know, even Wes Welker when he was here with the Dolphins, he was pretty solid. He wasn't trash. He was good. So it was kind of dumb of us letting him walk. But I'm trying to think anybody else because and I can only brainstorm and remember like the recent guys. I don't even. I mean, I'm thinking, you know, Devontae Parker. I'm thinking, who's another guy that left? And damn, I just had him on my tip of my tongue. I had somebody else who had just left. Oh, the wide receiver that went to Buffalo like 2 years ago. The one that was talking trash about Tua, saying that he's now has a passing quarterback. Remember who I'm talking about? Not River Carcraft. It was the other guy.
Trent Sherfield?
Trent Sheffield, that guy. Trent Sheffield was the other guy that he left the Dolphins and he went to the Buffalo Bills. And
And what did he do there?
yeah, no, he didn't do ni mierda. He didn't do anything over there.
But if you want examples, I mean Jay Ajayi, he won a Super Bowl with Philly. Damian Williams, he won a Super Bowl with Kansas City. I mean, you have teams that have won Super Bowls with ex-Dolphin players, but outside of the division, not within.
That's true. I mean, they never, like, I don't remember. Yeah, because I mean, I know at one point in time Zach Thomas left the Dolphins, but I think he only left for like a year or two.
And he retired.
Then he retired. Yeah, I think he was with the
Matt Moore won a championship with Kansas City. I didn't even know Chad Henne had a.
That is Matt Moore. Matt Moore did go with Kansas City. Chad Henne, Terrell Buckley. See, you're going old school on us because Terrell Buckley went to the Jets, if I'm not mistaken. Right? I think that was, or he went to the Patriots. Actually, I think Terrell Buckley went to the Patriots. Let me look because I remember Terrell Buckley was a good cornerback. Let me see Terrell Buckley's career.
Now you see Damian Howard and Larry Izzo. I don't know.
He went to the New England. Okay, so he was with the Dolphins. But check this out. So Terrell Buckley was still my time. Like I was still young, but I remember Terrell Buckley. So I didn't even know this. He had 2 years with the Green Bay Packers. Then he spent his time with the Dolphins. He had 4 years with the Dolphins. Then he went to the Broncos, the Patriots, the Buccaneers. He came back with the Dolphins in 2003. Then he went to the Patriots, and then he went to the Jets, and then he ended his career in the Giants. Now, uh, Damon Howard. I remember Damon Howard, the backup QB, right? If I'm not mistaken. Larry Izzo, of course. Larry Izzo. Larry Izzo's out of my league. I mean, I know Larry Izzo. I've heard of him, but never. That was like out of my years. All three flipped. What did Cap say? All three flipped us off with their middle finger wearing a Super Bowl. Damn, that's messed up, bro. If they really did do that. Yeah, Phantom coach Damian Williams is the one that my brother was saying that he went ahead and he won a championship with Kansas City.
I know every episode you're itching to prove the point that Tua is not the guy, but don't worry, sir. Just wait for the season to happen.
Oh, I'm not itching anything, but now that you bring up Tua, I want to bring up something that was sent to me earlier today, and is that right there, the highest average annual value. You got Joe Burrow 55 million, Jared Goff 53, Justin Herbert 50.5, Lamar Jackson 52, and Jalen Hurts 51. Talk to me, sir. 56. Tua.
Yeah,
Seems right.
give it to him. Give it to him.
56 million. Tua? Does he
Yeah.
deserve it?
Yeah, he does.
Is he the guy that should change the market?
It's not his fault that the cap keeps going higher and higher.
But does he deserve it? Because look, if you want to say, hey, Jared Goff, he didn't surpass Joe Burrow, so why should Tua pass Joe Burrow? And Jared Goff just went to the NFC Championship game.
NFC's easier.
Still gotta get through. You still gotta play games. It doesn't matter where it's easier or not, man. I mean, look at the NBA Finals right now. We thought Boston had an easy cakewalk going to the NBA Finals, and they're up on Dallas 2-0. And I don't even know how they're doing right now. I don't know if they're winning right now or if I don't know the score of that game.
Does Justin Herbert? Justin Herbert is the only guy in that pack that should be the outlier and should be compared mostly to Tua in his contract.
Look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, he went to a Super Bowl, and he's getting paid underpaid than Lamar Jackson, underpaid than Justin Herbert, underpaid than Jared Goff, underpaid than Joe Burrow. Well, out of those four guys in front of him, only Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl. The other three guys are there. So what I'm trying to tell you is, like, if you're gonna go ahead,
Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl.
True, you're right. You're right about that. He did go to the Super Bowl with his previous team. So, but not Justin Herbert and not Lamar Jackson. And Jalen Hurts is still getting paid less than those two guys. You understand me?
Again, look at the dates. Jalen Hurts got signed in April. Lamar Jackson got signed in April, further down 10 days later. Then Justin Herbert got paid 3 months later. And then Jared Goff a year later. The only one who got paid, they doubled down on him was Joe Burrow. And if you think about it, Burrow has had 2 good years out of the 4. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Will consistency in the future be a problem for Joe Burrow? We know he's talented. We know he deserves the money. But will he be consistent throughout his career in the NFL? I believe Tua has played more games than Joe Burrow.
Okay, but let me ask you this. If you had Tua or Burrow, and you had to put all your eggs in one basket, and both of them are very prone to injuries, right? Because Tua had his rib situation before, and then the concussion, and then Joe Burrow has had multiple injuries. Would you feel more confident in paying Joe Burrow, or would you feel more confident paying Tua?
Based off on what has happened the past 4 years, obviously I would feel more comfortable paying Joe Burrow because of him going to the Super Bowl and going to the AFC Championship the next game. However,
can you blame Cincinnati for paying him all that money, even though he's been injured for 2 seasons? Can't.
I won't blame them, but there could be some concern in his contract because we don't know how consistent he's going to be.
But see, I'd rather take a risk with him because even though he could get injured. He's
And it
proven
hasn't been
that he's a
and it hasn't been injuries like I get it. Tua had a serious hip injury and he had a serious concussion injury. But Joe Burrow tore his ACL his first year, and then he had this weird nerve damage problem in his throwing arm. So again, do you want to pay Tua $56 million? Sure, because the market is gonna get to that level. So is it gonna happen? Maybe. Or the Dolphins are like, hey, look, Tua, we can give you what Jared Goff is getting, $53 million. And will it happen? It will happen. This whole $53 million average annual value is crazy because at the end of the day, if you look at look at Joe Burrow's contract and then tell me how much he's making right now this year. And watch, it's not 55 million.
Well, no, but obviously they mess with the numbers that way they could have cap room. But this is the average annual value. That's why. That's what you got to look at. So if you're gonna look and compare the average annual value for Tua, he wants to change the market, he would have to make more than 55 million. The thing is, does he deserve more than 55 million? Does he deserve to be in that? Maybe he deserves to be in that 53 range right next to Jared Goff. Or maybe he deserves to be at the same with Justin Herbert, 52.5. They both have been. Justin Herbert, like you said, is probably the best comparable person to Tua because he hasn't won anything and he's made it to the playoffs. I mean, technically, you could honestly say that Justin Herbert probably did a little bit better than Tua because he did have the lead against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are not Kansas City Chiefs, so I could understand it. And then they blew that lead, but you can't blame it on Justin Herbert. That's more of a blown on the defense. Defense should have covered. But that's what I'm trying to say right there. It's like if you're gonna change the market, you have to do better than all these guys in one category or not. And the Phantom coach says Tua has just shown us glimpses of what he can do. He's grown and developed on this offense, no doubt. But what do these Dolphins fear the most? Paying a QB who hasn't passed a playoff win since the 2000s. And that's absolutely right. Not only that, Phantom coach, we fear that if we pay this guy, it's going to happen what happened with Tannehill, that he doesn't live up to expectation. And we're like, another guy we paid a shitload of money and underperformed for us. And then we're back into square one where we're going to have to knock out the rest of the team and start all over again just because we made the blunder again of not going with the right quarterback. And it will hurt us even more and sting us even more if all of a sudden Justin Herbert has a complete turnaround because he has a new coach this year. So if Justin Herbert now has a coach, remember, this was Justin Herbert's numbers and performance with a shitty coach because he wasn't that good when it came to offense. Now he has a solid coach that has been in the NFL and in college and has a hell of a track record of being a hell of a coach. I don't see why Justin Herbert shouldn't get better. Just like Tua got better when you brought a coach that fit his style. So hopefully it does fit Justin Herbert's style. But what's going to happen if Justin Herbert starts to perform and then all of a sudden us Dolphin fans are like, man, we did it again. We picked the wrong person. We went the wrong route.
That is something I can't tell you until next year, my brother. But for now, right now, Tua deserves what Justin Herbert got, which is that right there, 52.5 million.
I personally feel, and we've already spoken about this multiple times. I think he has to change the market. I think numbers speak for themselves. And unfortunately, I think he deserves more than 55 million annually. Do I think he deserves it? That's a different question. I don't think he deserves it, but I feel that they're gonna give it to him because of the market. But I don't
And
think he deserves. I don't think he deserves it.
does Deshaun Watson deserve a $220 million contract that broke the market?
At that time when he was with the Texans, he was a baller. He had proven himself that he was a game changer.
What did he do?
He
What's the
took a-
difference? What's the difference between what C.J. Stroud did and Deshaun Watson did?
well, if you look at the players that Deshaun Watson had, it was less. He had less players, in my opinion. I don't think he had anybody out there that would ball out for him. I know CJ Stroud hasn't had phenomenal players either, but I mean when Deshaun Watson got them to the playoffs, he had like a team that was really, really bad. Like it wasn't a good team. Like he was doing everything himself. And there was a lot of hype, and the kid was, I mean, he had just came out of Clemson. He had all that hype on him, and
Did he deserve $220 million?
obviously not. He got overpaid. Obviously, he did get overpaid. We could all agree that he got overpaid.
So then we can also say that other teams make mistakes too.
Oh yes, I agree. You look, man, you're gonna take a gamble. I don't knock the Browns for taking a gamble on Deshaun Watson. I knock him for paying him a shitload of money. Is it panning out? No, but if I'm a Cleveland Brown fan, I'm gonna be pissed because I'm be like, damn, dude, we paid all this money for this guy, and what did we get? We didn't get shit. Same thing would be with Tua. If we take a gamble on Tua and pay him all this money, and he doesn't pan out, we're gonna feel the same way as a Cleveland Brown fan. Damn it, we paid all this money to this guy, and he didn't give a shit. He gave us nothing. He gave us not even what we were hoping for, and that's what's gonna hurt us if that's what happens. And he wrote, they both won a division with the Texans. They did. They both have. But again, I think, and another thing that would hurt us as well would be the fact that we did all these trades with the Texans, and then they get their quarterback and we don't. That is another thing that would sting me.
But who would have thought CJ Stroud would be that great, right? And that's just his first year. We don't know what's in the future for that guy. I mean, we thought what was this guy from the Colts that retired early? What was his name?
The one with the headaches? Think the
Yeah,
concussions?
he didn't have concussions. He was just beat up already. Like by the time he was like 30, I forgot his name. But he was a great rookie quarterback.
Andrew Luck.
And look what happened. So it's a gamble, like you said. That's the correct word. It's a gamble. And right now it hasn't been we don't know yet. The only thing we see right now is that Tua is trending. He keeps on improving. He keeps doubting people. He keeps proving the doubters wrong. And hopefully we continue with that trend.
Kefrali says, if we make this mistake, it will be a catastrophic overpay in NFL history. Wow. I wouldn't say that. I don't think it would be
You reaching, Cap. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be NFL history. It will be hard to swallow. I will say that. It will be very hard to swallow. The Phantom Coach says, I agree with the Trapio. It is Tua's fourth year to shine and should get a contract. I've seen worse contract signing with Browns QBs, Cards QB, Texans QB until now. But yeah, let's pay this kid, right? And then he has the little, a little, kind of afraid emoji. He's like, I don't know, should we? We shouldn't. And then Cap said, Frankie. Again, look, we agree. We could all agree that they gotta pay him, right? It's just how much we're gonna pay him, and is he gonna pan out? If he doesn't pan out, we're all gonna be tripping again and be like, "Yo, man, we made a mistake again. We failed."
That's the gamble, right? That's the gamble. Because before his hip injury, everyone was saying, "Yo, quarterback Tua is a BCS championship professional, elite quarterback. He's the number one draft pick." But then after this hip injury, it just went down slope. Oh, will he have it in him? Oh, it's because he had superstars around him. Oh, it's because the NFL is too quick for him. So it's like
I think
it's a gamble, dude. If you look at Joe Burrow's story and you look at Tua's story,
should we take that gamble? That's the question. Should we
I
take
mean,
that
Joe,
gamble?
Joe Burrow didn't have a bad team in that LSU team when they won the championship.
Dude, they were
And
stacked, bro. That LSU team was stacked.
exactly, I believe they had Etienne. I believe they had Jamar Chase. I
They were
believe they had a great defense. They had a great coach. They had a great quarterback in Joe Burrow. The only difference is that Joe Burrow didn't have a freakish accident with a hip injury. You feel me? So
But
those are
we all knew
gambles.
we all knew coming out of the draft that Joe Burrow was going to be special.
But wasn't that the same momentum too for Tua before he got injured?
Yes and no. Because if you look back at the track record, give me an Alabama quarterback that has been successful in the NFL. That's the problem. There's never been.
And LSU, who has been LSU?
No, I'm talking about Alabama because the reason I say Alabama is because Alabama has always been in the BCS contention, and Nick Saban for so many freaking years. Their quarterbacks have not panned out. They've always sucked when they've made their way to the NFL. So that has been something that we could always say, hey, look, should we draft a quarterback from Alabama? They always struggle.
Aside from Joe Burrow, who else from LSU has God, spectacular?
LSU QBs recently, I don't think recently I've seen anybody, because I remember that they had a, let me see, what was this guy?
It's all a gamble, sir. This is all a gamble.
The big dude. He was a what was his name? That he became a flop. Jamarcus Russell. That was the guy's name. He ended up being a flop. I remember that. He wasn't that good. But LSU guys, I'm looking online to see if I find anybody, and no, you're right. There hasn't been anybody.
It's just a gamble, sir. It's just a gamble.
There hasn't been anybody.
I mean, if you want me to get technical, I mean, Jalen Hurts was an Alabama quarterback and he went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but Jalen Hurts went to Oklahoma. He learned his. It's the truth.
For 1 year. For 1 year. So you're telling me 1 year of college is gonna completely change Jalen Hurts' 3 years that he was in Alabama, or 2, I think. I think he was there for 2 or 3.
Well, Joe Namath is obviously, but that we're I guess I should have mentioned it. We're talking
recently, 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
More recently, because
I didn't even know Joe Namath was a QB from Alabama.
But if you he went to Oklahoma, man. He learned his roots over there, and that's why he's a winner, because he went to Oklahoma.
That's funny, bro. You're funny.
Sir, it's the truth. You don't think that he would have not gone ahead and I'm pretty sure he learned, I think, in my opinion, more in Oklahoma than in Alabama. You could tell they were running an offense with him the whole time. He was running for his life. He never had that crap in Alabama, because Alabama always had an O-line that was sick. The guy's jersey was always clean. In Oklahoma, he was making plays. He learned.
Sir, you're making it seem like Oklahoma has never won BCS championships or has gone to the BCS championship game.
No, but we're talking about Alabama quarterbacks, recent Alabama quarterbacks that have been successful in the NFL. It hasn't happened. Look at all right. Hold on.
Didn't Sam Bradford come from Oklahoma, or Matthew Stafford come from Oklahoma?
Look, okay, hold on. I'm gonna tell you who are all these quarterbacks from Alabama. I'm looking it up. All right, so we had Jalen Hurts, obviously. Tua talk about Mac Jones, Bryce Young, obviously. Any of those guys have been successful? Mac Jones sucked. Bryce Young, they're doubting him already. There hasn't been any quarterback that you could honestly go ahead and say, has been successful. I'm looking at some of the old guys. Obviously, Joe Namath is out of the question. But
look at Oklahoma. Look at Oklahoma. Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Sam Bradford. Come on, dude. They're good QBs.
You can't give. Yes, that's why. So look what you just mentioned. There are good QBs
and
in Oklahoma. That's why Jalen Hurts is good because he went to Oklahoma. You don't have
and
the same line
and
as Alabama.
has any of them made a big impact aside from Jalen Hurts?
The Oklahoma quarterbacks. What were they? Mention them again.
Kyler Murray, Sam Bradford.
Kyler Murray's been solid. He hasn't won a Super Bowl, but he's been solid. Obviously, Sam Bradford. Okay,
And mind you, these were QBs that were in Oklahoma for 4 years, and you're making it seem like Jalen Hurts 1 year completely overlaps the 3 years that he was in Alabama. Look,
like you had AJ McCarron in Alabama. That's a recent one. Greg McElroy. That was another guy who's recent. He was back in 2011. So none of these Alabama guys. Like I'm talking about more of when Nick Saban was around with Alabama. There hasn't been a quarterback that has been productive in the NFL coming out of Alabama recently during that Nick Saban.
Aside from Tua.
Not even because Tua hasn't even won a playoff game with us, bro. And I know he's only been in one, but he hasn't. He hasn't won a division for us. Okay, let's say that he hasn't even won a division for us.
He will now this year.
The Phantom Coach has a point. Bryce Young has a young team, including it. But didn't you see that they were already knocking him? They were saying, "Yo, why did they went ahead and get Bryce Young? They dropped the ball by not getting CJ." They were talking about it all of last season already. They were like, "Yo, they dropped the ball with that one." You know, Sam Bradford set the market. He was a bust. Hell yeah, he was. He was a huge bust. It was a huge bust. I'm looking at look what I got here. I pulled up the Alabama. So we're running from the 2000s. Okay, that's what we're running from. These were the Alabama quarterbacks from 2000. Okay, 2000 and from 99 to 2002 was Tyler Watts. 2003, Brandon Avalos. Avalos started against Southern Miss. He left the program in January, so he didn't even last the whole year with them. Okay. When did Nick Saban take over? Let me take a look.
2010.
You confirm that? 2010? Okay, so I'm gonna go
to in 2000. How are you gonna forget 2009 Dolphins with Nick Saban?
You're fucking right. Yeah, fuck that guy. All right, so 2010. So here we go. Greg McElroy was the first one. 2009, 2010. AJ McCarron, 2011, 2013. Blake Sims, I forgot about that guy. 2014. Jake Coker, another bust. He was he actually won the national championship with Alabama. That's the one that they defeated Clemson. I believe that's the one that they isn't that they beat Deshaun Watson that year? I believe they beat Deshaun Watson that year. Jay Coker, Cooper Bateman, I don't know who that is. Blake Barnett, I have no idea who that guy is. Then you had Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, Bryce Young, and now recently you have Tyler Buckner, and then Jalen Milroe is the new. I guess it looks like he's going to be the one who's going to be playing this year for them. But obviously Nick Saban is gone, so I'm just saying, man, there hasn't been a Alabama coach. An Alabama quarterback that has been successful during the Nick Saban run. That's just what I'm saying. They've all kind of been busts, in my opinion.
Well, Tua is gonna break that curse.
Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. We'll see. Hopefully, I mean,
I feel more comfortable giving Tua a bunch of money, who's been a quarterback all his life, than give $100 million to Ryan Tannehill, who was first a 2-year wide receiver at Texas A&M or Texas Tech.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
And then we gave him a whole bunch of money after he was just 2 years as a QB in college.
Hold on a second, sir. When he was our quarterback and we gave him that extension, you didn't agree with that back in the day, that he deserved that extension?
No.
Were you one of the ones who was bitching and complaining, saying, why are we extending this guy's contract?
Yeah.
I wasn't. I always gave the credit to him because I always thought his coaching around him sucked. When you have a coach like Joe Philbin, what kind of success are you going to have? That's why I hated the fact that we always blamed Ryan Tannehill. There was some areas that he sucked on, and obviously he did that. Same thing with Tua. There's certain things that you have, but if you put two and two together and tell me, did Ryan Tannehill ever have a coach, offensive mind coach caliber that you could say, damn, he was legit? I mean, Adam Gase was the closest one, and look how shitty he did afterwards, even with the Jets after he left. Mike McDaniel smokes all the coaches that Ryan Tannehill had. All the coaches he had.
If I'm not mistaken, Omar Kelly has said it that there's been a year where I think, if maybe I'm wrong, but there was a year where they wanted Matt Moore to finish the season than Ryan Tannehill. And if that doesn't tell you more about the trust that the offensive players had in Ryan Tannehill, and the Dolphins still went ahead and dedicated 7 years for that guy. So why can't we give 2 or 3 or 4 more extra years if the guy has done more than Ryan Tannehill?
That 2016 team that made it to the playoffs, who was the backup quarterback to Ryan Tannehill? Was it Matt Moore?
Yep. Of course it was Matt Moore. Ryan Tannehill got injured in week 14. Then Matt Moore had to finish the job. He beat Buffalo and he beat the Jets.
Okay, and how did he do in that playoff
He
game?
balled out. He balled out.
He didn't ball out in that game in that playoff game. We got
not in the playoff game, but in the last 2 games when it was crunch time, Matt Moore balled out.
I do remember him playing well, going into that game, but that game against we played the Pittsburgh Steelers and we got our asses smoked 30-12. And what were the stats? Matt Moore went 29 for 36. He had 289 yards. He had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Wow, he didn't do so bad either. I thought he had done a lot worse. I'm surprised.
And he had gotten concussed.
Did he get concussed that game? Oh, why is Cap saying shots fired? It says, what's your guys' thoughts about the top 5 quarterback list Adam Beasley came out with? I haven't looked at it. Did he come out? When did he come out with this list? Was it today?
He just made a coach's list as well. He left Tony Sparano out of the list. You're crazy, bro. Tony Sparano was legit.
Tony Sparano was not legit. Tony Sparano had 1 good season, bro.
Tony Sparano did something that the past 6 or 8 coaches haven't done, and is win the division.
Yeah, but it took freaking the Wildcats for us to win the division. And you take away the Wildcat, that we would have never won the division that year.
We had Ricky Williams in his prime, and I don't even think we won the division.
Wow.
Anyways, we're going back and forth. This is just, we're just blabbering right now at this point.
I agree. Okay, I agree. Matt Moore was serviceable. I'll leave it like that. I agree. I think Matt Moore was serviceable as well. I thought he was decent. Was he better than Ryan Tannehill? No, he wasn't better than Ryan Tannehill, and he proved it in the playoff game. Although his numbers, I'm shocked that those were his numbers in that playoff game. I thought he did a lot worse, but I could be wrong. The one who did stank up the place was Jay Ajayi. He had 16 carries for 33 yards. Damn, he didn't run for shit. You know who was the leading receiver? Juice. He had 11 receptions for 102 yards. Wow.
Look, I'll show you the games that he played with the Dolphins in that 2016 game.
Who, Matt Moore?
Yeah.
Damn, I can't believe. Look at Big Ben. Big Ben that game, because we lost to the Steelers. Big Ben went 13 for 18. Damn, that guy barely threw the football. 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
The Dolphins played against the Buffalo Bills the last game of the season. And Matt Moore's stats, and this was in Buffalo. This wasn't in Miami. This was in Buffalo. Rex Ryan was the coach, by the way.
What was his stats?
Matt Moore he was 16 for 30, 233, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And then against the New York Jets, he had
Man, he had more. He had more
12,
touchdowns than Tua has had in Buffalo.
12 for 18, 236 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
Wait, he had 4 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? Who were they playing against that game?
The Jets.
Those are not great numbers. Those numbers suck. I mean, the 4 touchdowns. I don't know how he got those 4 touchdowns, but I mean, 12 for 18, 236 yards. I mean, I guess they're serviceable.
Didn't Patrick Mahomes have a 5 touchdown performance with less than 25 throws before? What's your point, sir? What is your point?
Tony Sperano was the only guy to win the division. Yeah, I mean, gave it a
Exactly.
Wildcat. Was it Wildcat? You give me the Wildcat. Nobody knew about that play. That's the only reason why he won it, bro.
Sir, is there anything else you want to talk about the Dolphins?
No, let's move on. Let's move on because we're not gonna see eye to eye, and we're just gonna go back and forth, and we're already rambling here. The last two topics we're gonna talk about, obviously, is the Miami Heat. Whoops. Oh, maybe I can't talk about the Miami Heat. I don't have. There it is. I don't know why it's tripping. Mostly it's not Miami Heat. We're gonna talk. It's be more a little bit more about the NBA, and what we're talking about the NBA was we spoke about this earlier. I think earlier in the week, Nick, you and me, was the fact that the NBA was thinking about the idea to bring two more teams into the NBA. Obviously, the markets would be Las Vegas and Seattle. So my question to you is, sir, what team would jump ship from the West to the East, and would that team already be maybe the second best team right behind Boston?
Who? Who was the team?
So if they go, if the NBA decides to expand and they decide to add two teams, they're thinking really hard. They're pushing hard for Las Vegas, obviously. So Vegas and Seattle. So you would probably have to move one team over to the East. So the East Coast teams, some of the teams that we could throw out there is obviously the New Orleans Pelicans is a team that's out there. Maybe Minnesota, because the Minnesota Timberwolves are kind of like a Midwest team. Any team in the Texan state, Dallas, Houston, or San Antonio can make their way to the East. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
who else. The Memphis Grizzlies, because Memphis is in Tennessee, so Memphis would be another one. So if one of those teams make their way over to the East, do you see them? Which one of those teams do you think would make sense to come to the East? And number two, do you see them automatically being probably the second seed in the East?
I wouldn't say second seed, but I would definitely see Memphis going to the East.
Really? You got Memphis?
Mm-hmm.
And do you see them? All right. So if you have Memphis coming with Morant on that team, do you see them going ahead and being maybe number two in the division?
If John Morant is healthy, yeah, man, you can see how impactful John Morant, and if he stays away from trouble and stuff like that, and just focuses on his career and stays healthy, he's a very impactful player, and we've seen it in previous seasons. So I think Memphis would probably be a good example.
I think I'm leaning a little bit more to maybe one of the Texas teams or New Orleans. I think personally, I don't know why, but I think Houston would probably be one of the teams that would make its way over to the East, or the New Orleans Pelicans. If I think Houston makes it to the East, I don't see them being obviously number two right behind Boston. I would definitely see them being better than what they did last year in the West, because they finished, I think, like right on 11th or something. I think they just missed out of the play-in.
Yeah.
But I'll still see them. I think they're a better team to make it and being at least in the play-in in the East Coast. And New Orleans Pelicans, I honestly feel that they will probably be a second seed or a third seed. And if that's the case, that would affect the Miami Heat, because the Miami Heat would now have to deal with another team that would be, probably more talented than the Miami Heat. So that's why it's kind of like it's something that you could actually
It's
go ahead
interesting.
and say. You could actually go ahead and say, is it, does it help the Miami Heat or does it hurt the Miami Heat? Personally, depending on who you bring. If you bring Houston, I think that helps the Heat. But if you bring like a New Orleans Pelicans, or if you bring a Memphis team, or even a Minnesota team, I don't think Minnesota would jump ship because they're very. I think they're doing good in the West Coast. But one of those teams, even Dallas or even San Antonio, I think that hurts the Miami Heat if we don't get any
Yeah,
better.
definitely. And if the Miami Heat don't continue doing any improvements or adjustments or making add-ons to the team, and just keep on losing and just recycling and making like these developmental players, then for sure it's gonna continue hurting the Heat.
The other question we're going to talk about when it comes to the world of basketball is the WNBA. Very quickly, we'll talk about it. Caitlin Clark, sir, was not selected in the U.S. Women's Olympic team. The reason they say is because she is too new, and they felt like she wasn't a right fit right now for the Olympic thing. I guess they probably feel like maybe she hasn't put in her time. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with Caitlin Clark being left out of the U.S. Olympic team?
Yeah, man. I mean, what has she done? There's been other better players out there that have provided better numbers and have proven that they're quality women players that can go ahead and pretty much contribute more than what Caitlin Clark is doing.
I wouldn't say that, man. I wouldn't say that because look at the team that she's playing in, bro. I mean, yeah, she's not killing it, but she's the only good player in that Indiana team, bro. She really is. And there's some games that she's actually been balling. Yeah, some games that she's been struggling. Why wouldn't you not bring her? Look what she did in college. Just because of that, she deserves to be on the team. Just because of that. Now I don't
Yeah,
know exactly. I don't know who. I don't know the stats of all the girls that made it to the U.S. Olympic team. I'm not sure. Let me. I mean, I would have to do my
there's
research.
been some players that have averaged 25, 10, and 5, and they've been in the league for X, Y, and Z years, and they either don't get picked or they just don't get selected this year. I don't really watch that much WNBA, but
Yeah,
because of the whole hype of Caitlin Clark, we got to go ahead and give her a spot in the chair and one of the biggest spotlights in world basketball. Nah, dude, I'm sorry. You can get the spotlight in WNBA, but when it comes to the United States, you need the best out of the best to represent the US, and she's not the best right now.
well, look, I mean, I'm pulling the girls that made it, right? And these are the girls that they brought in. I'll share it because again, we're digging into something that we really, let's be honest, we're very green. We don't know that much about it, right?
Yep.
We're not consistently looking into their stats and all that stuff. But here are the girls. I don't know who out of these girls right here, Brittany Griner would be the only one that I know.
I know Brittany and I know Chelsea Gray.
And look, Brittany Griner is 33, Chelsea Gray is 31. Then you got Kayla Copper, she's 29, and then you have uh Nafisa Collier, she's 27. So she's the youngest one from there. And then the second group, you have Brianna Stewart, I know her, she's 29, Kelsey Plum,
Yeah.
29, uh Joel Lloyd, 30, Sabrina Inescu. I know her. I've seen her play. She plays in the New York Liberty. I've seen her. She's good. She's 26. And then the last four, obviously Diana Taurasi. I, I can't believe Diana Taurasi is still playing. She's 42 years old, but she's always been legit. Um, Jackie Young, I don't know who that girl is. She's 26. Asia Wilson. Asia Wilson, I have heard of her. She's 27. And Alisa Thomas. Alicia Thomas, I guess I'm saying it right. Hopefully I'm saying it right. And she's 32. What I am noticing, Nick, about all these girls is that they're all much, much older. Have you noticed that? Like a lot of the team is like in their 30s. They're really
Um,
aren't, they're not
I
putting
wanna,
young
I
chicks.
wanna, I wanna say they're in their late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, exactly. They're in their late 20s going into their 30s. 27, 29, 31, 33, 29, 29, 30, 26. That's the youngest as of now. 26, 27, 32, 42. Dude, all these girls are old. I mean, I guess they wanted to go that route. I guess they wanted to go a route where you
Very
had like they had
old.
like experience. I guess that's the only thing I could think of.
I think that's the proper word, not old. I think just much more experience.
Well, and when I mention old, I mean by the sense of like they're
Look at the Redeem team in that 2003 when they put all those youngins because they got caught up with the hype, and look what happened.
true. But I'm you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look at the research. I'm gonna do the research for next week's show, and I'm gonna go ahead and ask you, and we'll take a look and we'll see exactly eh, if there's an actual argument as to why Caitlin Clark. Because if Caitlin, like if these girls' numbers are not the best, if there's just one of them that isn't there that is not the best, then I don't see why Caitlin should not have at least been brought into the team. She doesn't have to even like play as much. They could have brought her in the bench. I think at the end of the day, you bring the best players available. I don't see what's wrong with bringing a mixture of younger kids, younger women, and older women.
The only reason why I would bring Clayton Clark is to put more eyes into the WNBA basketball USA team.
no, well, the USA basketball team has always been. It always captures people's attention. I've always noticed that. So I don't think they need that. Because if there's one thing that always has captured at least the public's eye has always been when the
United
women represent the United States. Yeah.
That's
Look at the soccer women. The same thing. You don't talk
whoa,
about them.
soccer women, they dominate, bro.
Yeah, but they dominate when they're representing the United States. Talk to me when they're outside the United States. Do you even know what teams they even play in? You don't. It's sad, but it's the truth. So, all right, sir. Last thing we're gonna talk about, of course, is soccer. We just spoke about it a couple minutes ago. We'll talk about the Panthers as well a little bit, but the Panthers, we know that the Panthers are up 2-0. We like the Panthers. Actually, let me change this. The Panthers just are going to be playing tomorrow. So, do you see the Panthers taking a commanding 3-0 lead over the Oilers?
I don't see them winning tomorrow. I have a weird gut feeling that tomorrow it's going to be one of those games where I don't know if you've noticed, but game 2 it really got aggressive, and now that they're in home field, things are going to get even more chippier. And I just hope that the Panthers have some sort of formula in making sure that to stay on the ice, and hopefully the referees are not biased and stuff like that, because it's been getting really aggressive. Especially that Barkey is, supposedly he's not in concussion protocol, but he's kind of like evaluated for concussion. Igblad got a lower leg injury. Someone landed on his ankle. And then the other individual, I keep forgetting his name. I think it's Lorsano or Lorisenko or whatever. So those are players that are kind of beat up right now. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them doesn't play and they move on to game 4. I see the Panthers still winning in 5 games. I think this is a gentleman's sweep, but for tomorrow, I just don't see them winning.
I think I don't know why, but I agree with you. I agree in the sense that it's going to be a gentleman's sweep, but I honestly feel that they are going to take a 3-0 lead. I think this is the game that they steal. I think the Oilers would win game 4, and then they'll close it out here in Florida and win game 5. I just think that the Panthers have been dominating. Bob is playing insane goaltending,
That's
blocking.
true.
I mean, there was so much hype. I just don't see Edmonton being able to keep up with the Panthers. I mean, look how many shots the Panthers are getting on goal compared to Edmonton. They're not getting shit. It's just terrible for them. I mean, there's so much hype on those two guys from Edmonton. They're big stars, and what they have done, they haven't even scored, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like it I honestly feel that the Panthers are riding high momentum, and I think they're gonna go in. And plus, like you said, it got chippy game 2, so I think they have a chip on their shoulder. They're gonna be like, you know what, screw you guys. We're gonna go ahead and try to knock you out and give a punch right to the face and take in game 3. And then I think Edmonton finds a way to kind of cover and survive game 4, and then I think they close it out here in Florida. I think they win their first Stanley Cup. I'm just happy that the Panthers are very successful right now, because a lot of the media was picking against them. I don't know why. Like, it's so obvious that the Panthers are a better team than the Edmonton Oilers. but they were riding that high with those two offensive players that Edmonton has.
Yeah, I don't get why the media keeps. Well, some media had the Panthers like, yo, they're riding high, but some of them just felt like it was a Cinderella story last year, and we proved a lot of people wrong. That we continued the flow, we continued the chemistry, and throughout the ending of the season, we actually added more depth, and that kind of has been helping us more.
I think the issue too, man, is that the media also is a big fan of like hockey being Canadian, so they feel like, hey, a Canadian team deserves to win it again. But why would the story of them being the Canadian team of winning? I think it's been 20 years since a Canadian team has won, and then you got the Panthers who have never won a championship. You so like, dude, like I don't understand. And like I said, I think they've been riding high on Connor McDavid and the other guy, Drysel or whatever his name is, and they feel like those guys deserve the championship. But dude, I think you have a better story in the Florida Panthers, a team that has no business in hockey, to be honest with you, in a warm state that you could honestly go ahead and say, hey, look, the Panthers deserve to win it. I think there's a better storyline with the Panthers winning their first championship game. I think it's always good when you have a team winning a championship for the first time, in my opinion. I think that over supersedes, a Canadian team winning it. But that's just me. Maybe I'm being biased because I'm a Florida Panther fan, but
I agree with you though.
I think it's a better story. Um, and sir, last thing, of course, because I know we've been riding for almost 2 hours here. Going back to the soccer, sir. Uh, your last words, your recap of the United States and Brazil. Anything you wanted to chime in? Obviously they ended the game 1-1. Anything you saw? Any areas of improvement for the USA team?
I like that they reflected on what assumed was probably one of the worst losses in United States soccer history, and sometimes it's not about how you fall, it's how you bounce right back, and they bounced back pretty well. I mean, they faced a really tough opponent in Brazil. I know Brazil are in a certain circumstance, but you just can't still downplay the talent that Brazil has in that team. Um, and I just really like that the United States were able to bounce back and pretty much say, "Hey, look, last game was a wake up call, and we're gonna make sure now to play with extra effort, uh, extra energy, and more desire." And I think that's what they did.
I think for me, I didn't get that much from this United States team. I agree they did bounce back. I think that was good for them, but I honestly felt that Matt Turner was the difference here. I didn't see a United States team that I could honestly go ahead and say that did much more better as far as like than what they did against Colombia. I felt like they still made mistakes. I still felt that they didn't dominate. I'm being honest with you. I think Brazil's not as good as Colombia right now. I mean, I just feel that the reason this game ended 1-1 was because of Matt Turner. If you look at that game, he blocked a shitload of goals. He did a really, really good job. He, in my opinion, was the man of the match. He saved their ass, in
Let's
my
see.
opinion.
Yes, Matt Turner was the man of the match.
That's the only difference.
He had he
That's the
had
only difference.
he had 11 saves, bro. 11.
Think about that, man. You had 11 shots on goal, dude. He blocked 11 of them. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's insane.
12 so it was 61% Brazil out of 39 of the United States in ball possession. Total shots were 25, 12 on target, and Turner saved 11 of them. United States shot 12 times, 7 shots on target, and Allison had 6 saves.
That's insane, bro.
And for anybody who's Ecuadorian or Bolivian, I'm sorry, Bolivia, but you're getting spanked right now, 3-0.
It's not looking good. It's not looking good for Bolivia. I see if I could share this before we head on out, Nick. And it
I do want to say that I do want to dedicate a little bit more time to Copa America next week's episode, just because um the Copa America is actually next week. It's literally next week Friday. So I kind of want to dedicate a little bit more time
so
and
let's do this.
let's do our pre prediction.
All right. So obviously, guys, me and my brother are big soccer fans, and I know you guys. Not everybody's a big soccer fan, but for us, not only do you have Copa America, but you also have the Euros is starting as well. So you have both of them going on pretty much. So yeah, we'll dedicate more time definitely to soccer. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna shift our soccer talk to we got NXT first, and then we'll do soccer talk, and then after that we'll do Dolphins talk. That way we dedicate more time to soccer. It's only because of the tournament. And again, we want to talk. We want to talk the United States. We want to talk about Colombia. We want to talk about South America. We want to talk about Canada. I mean, we want to talk about all these teams, and we want to go ahead and show you guys, what our what we think about each team and what our predictions are. And as for a lot of you guys who are tuning in, is that we're also flying out. So we're leaving in 2 weeks to go to Houston for the Colombia versus Paraguay game. So we will be filming content over there, and then we'll have content to bring back. Obviously, the show. Not sure if we're going to be able to do the show. We are not this weekend. We're flying out next Sunday, and then we get back on Tuesday. So, and our podcast is on Wednesday. So I'm not sure we'll be able to do a podcast. Depends on how, if we're tired or not. But we're definitely gonna have at least videos and content. And I'm definitely feel like filming over there in Houston. Never been to Houston before. We've been to Dallas, but never Houston. So it should be an experience, and hopefully we get the result that we want. And like you said, Nick, the goal here is also to just hopefully have our teams be successful. My team, of course, is Colombia, but I also am American, so I want the United States to succeed. So for me, my dream match would be Colombia versus the United States in the final. That would be my dream match, and that's what I want. Um, I'm not sure if that's exactly what you want, but at the end of the day, if I have to pick one or the other, tune in next week. We'll let you know exactly who we're gonna go ahead and pick
Hell yeah.
for the Copa America, and we'll break it down. But Nick, any last words before we go? Anything you want to say?
Not just I appreciate all the listeners and viewers out there that tune in on all our social media platforms. Um, Again, don't forget to hit that like button. We appreciate your love and support. Hit that subscribe. As usual, you see my brother and I, we are very passionate sports fans, and especially the Dolphins. I don't know if you noticed, but either way, it's just a blessing to share this show with you, brother, and always have another week, another blessing, another show, man.
Hey man, I appreciate it as well, man. Thank you so much, man, for always being part of obviously our show here. Let me talk to you. You guys are more than welcome to go ahead and follow me at Frankie Fresco or Fresco Music. Make sure you hit that like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share. If you're watching us on X, switch over to YouTube for just a split second and hit that like and subscribe. We really would appreciate it. It helps our algorithms. We want to go ahead and give a big shout out to everybody who chimed in on the chat board, Cap for Life, the Phantom Coach, man. We appreciate it, man. You are new to the chat, so we appreciate you being here. Flip Mob also made his appearance as well. Who else? Anybody else I see here? Chad make his appearance. Memo also came by. Josh also came by. So I want to thank all you guys as well. And guys, if you could kindly please, like I said, share. Once we hit 50 subscribers, I'm gonna go ahead and pick um probably 2 or 3 random um people to get a gift from us from the Let Me Talk to You podcast. Also, if you want to be a moderator for our show, do me a huge favor, send me your email, and I'll be more than happy to add you as one of our moderators. No doubt, I saw you made it. I see it as well. Thank you, no doubt. No doubt is also loyal
Can I
to
show
us.
you? Can I show you something? What I bought this weekend?
Yeah, go for it, man. So while he's getting that, yeah, as he's getting that, if anybody would like to be a moderator in our show, we would greatly appreciate it. I know there's been interest from somebody. Just shoot me your email. I found out how to add the moderator thing, so it's like I could add you guys on, and you guys would help obviously the show even more. Talk to me, Nick. What do you want to show us, sir?
So on Sunday, I had a hell of an adventure with my friends. Shout out to all my friends that probably tune in. But during my adventure, I stumbled upon a store that sold Panther gear, and I saw something that caught my attention, and it's this 1993 official hockey puck from the NHL, man. I saw
That's
it.
awesome.
I bought it. It's the inaugural year, 1993-94. Obviously, not to
Nice.
throw out too much of my age, but that was the year I was born, so I saw it. It's actually an official puck. As you can see, it says official pucks, and it's, even though funny enough, my girlfriend went to Canada, but it's made in Canada, so pretty cool. I bought it this weekend.
You bought it. Where did you get it from? What store? Do you remember?
Dude, so to be honest with you, it was just one of those random like knick-knack stores, like where you would buy like figures and stuff. So I guess they had like a sports section, and I forgot the name. I would have to look it up. But
No, you're good. I mean, I will say this. Did they have anything else? Like anything else that caught your eye? Like, did they have for the Heat stuff or Dolphin stuff, anything like that?
they had actually wrestling stuff. They had like some.
Might have to swing by then.
They had like some old Undertaker, Triple H, Austin stuff. They also had like old Sports Illustrated magazines from the year that the Panthers went to the Stanley Cup in '96. So it was a lot of like old gear. So when I saw this puck, it weighs like, I want to say 2 pounds, 3 pounds. So knowing that this is what they use is pretty cool when you see it in person.
Well, that's really cool. I hope next time you can let us know what the store is. That way we could give the store a shout out and people can go and check it out. I will say this though, you got that puck. That was pretty cool. Now that you mention it, you kind of that old Sports Illustrated, old magazine stuff like that. I forgot to tell you guys, but back in the day, I used to collect old newspapers, and my brother, he was staying in my room after I moved out. So I'm asking you. I wonder. I don't know if our mother threw them away, but do I still have those old school newspapers? Is this still safe? She threw all that away. Wow.
The only thing I was able to save is your basketball collection.
My basketball cards. I can't believe she threw the newspapers away.
Trust me, when I was living with mom, she threw away a pair of Kobe's that cost $4,000 right now, but because I don't have the box, they're only worth $600.
Wow. I remember I even had the newspaper when Dan Marino retired. Wow.
I had the newspaper when the Heat and the Marlins won the championship back in 03 and 06, and that's all gone.
Oh, you gotta love mom. Gotta love her.
Mom just doesn't realize, doesn't realize that here in the United States, we're a huge capitalist country. So consumerism is a big thing, and we like to buy old things, and it adds value as the years go by. So she didn't realize that back in the day. So it is what it is.
I still think she doesn't realize it, but at least you saved my basketball cards. That's the most important thing. And
Hell
I do have.
Man. Allen Iverson rookie card, Shaquille O'Neal rookie card, Michael Jordan, bro.
Not only that, but I still have on my basketball folder. I have the. It's not worth that much, but it's the old image of the Miami Dolphins. I think it was 1999 or 98. I think it might have been 98 because in that photo you have Dan Marino. On the next show, I'll have my basketball cards up here. I have them downstairs, but I'll bring them and show you guys I should frame that because that was pretty cool. That's a classic right there. I got that in one of the Miami Dolphins training camp when I was legit. So, but all right, guys, thank you so much, and definitely we will see you next week again. For everybody here, and let me talk to you. Episode 29 in the books. See you later, and go Panthers.
Let me talk to you.
The biggest icon in wrestling.